Hello everyone, welcome to our channel. In today's video, we're diving into some of the most perplexing unsolved disappearance cases. Tiffany Louise Sessions was born on October 29, 1968, in Tampa, Florida, which is a city on the Gulf Coast of the US state of Florida. Her family used to call her by her lovely name, Timpy. Her parents' names are Patrick and Hillary Sessions. She was an only child. Her parents took a divorce on her first birthday. She later had a half-brother from her father's second marriage. The Sessions family was well known in their South Florida community. Patrick, a popular marketing executive at a large real estate company, oversaw the creation of Weston, which was one of the biggest building projects in the United States at the time. She had a bright smile and a warm personality, always ready to help others. Tiffany lived an active lifestyle, enjoying horseback riding, tennis, and boating. She was also very family-oriented, spending her school and summer breaks with her loved ones. Growing up, Tiffany's relationship with her mother became very strong, and she used to talk to her mother on the phone every day. Her mother was in the Air Force and had to travel a lot. But she loved her daughter very much and always felt her by her side. She was studying at the University of Florida in Gainesville. While at university, she lived at the Casablanca East condominiums, situated between Williston Road and Archer Road on Southwest 35th Place. On February 9, 1989, from around 4 a.m. to 5 p.m., she told her roommate, Kathleen Fretzer, that she was going for a power walk, which is near Bilston Road. Since she planned to be gone for only a short time, she left her wallet, keys, and ID behind. Kathleen Fretzer thought that she would come to the apartment around 7 o'clock. But when she didn't come to her apartment even at 7 o'clock, she waited for her for some time. But when Tiffany didn't come, she started to get scared, and she quickly left the apartment in the direction where she often went. She tried hard to find Tiffany. She asked many people located in that place. However, no trace of Tiffany was found. Finally, she had to inform her mother that Tiffany was missing. Initially, the police did not treat her disappearance as a crime because the police did not find any straggling holes either in her apartment or outside. 2 weeks after her disappearance, this missing person case started to appear as a kidnapping case. Police initially suspected motorcycle gangs, small-time drug dealers, and some other petty criminals to be involved in Tiffany's disappearance. But none of them were later proven to be involved in Tiffany's disappearance. About a week after his daughter disappeared, Patrick organized one of Florida's largest search parties. Over 700 volunteers joined, including University of Florida students, Marine reservists, recruits from Orlando's Naval Training Center, and members of the Miami Dolphins. This was just one of the many efforts he made to find Tiffany. In addition to the search, he set up a hotline that, at one point, was receiving 600 calls a day. He also raised a substantial reward, $250,000 for her safe return and $100,000 for tips leading to the location of her kidnappers. Patrick used the media to spread the word about Tiffany's case, organizing a press conference with the main detectives. Several months after Tiffany went missing, Patrick brought together the main investigators, private detectives, forensic psychologists, and an FBI behavioral analyst for a meeting. They were all feeling frustrated because they hadn't found any solid leads in the investigation. While investigating, a man told Patrick he knew where Tiffany was, claimed she was sick, and demanded $25,000. He threatened Tiffany's life if he didn't get the money. Patrick chased leads across Miami until the FBI caught the man. It turned out to be a lie, and he got 6 years in prison. Paul Eugene Rolls, a convicted murderer with a history of stalking and breaking into women's homes, is the main suspect in Tiffany's kidnapping and presumed murder. Rolls, who moved to Gainesville shortly before Tiffany vanished, worked odd jobs, including delivering pizza and handling scaffolding equipment near her jogging route. He didn't show up for work the day she disappeared. Evidence found in his jail cell after his death suggests he was a serial killer, possibly making Tiffany his second victim. A notebook hinted at her disappearance date, linking her case to others, including Elizabeth Foster's murder. Investigators couldn't find Tiffany's remains near where they found Foster's. Roll's step-grandson mentioned a pricey watch his mother received from Rolls, sparking speculation it could be Tiffany's missing Rolex, but this lead went nowhere. In 2013, Patrick received an email from a woman asking for forgiveness for a memory she wanted to share. When she was 16 in 1989, she saw a distressed blonde girl run into the road near Gainesville, but drove away when a man approached. She later wondered if it was Tiffany. Patrick connected her with police, who tested her and searched the area she described, but found nothing. In February 2020, another search was conducted in northeastern Alachua County based on a tip about an area Rolls frequented. Witnesses recalled seeing a red truck and a man resembling Rolls dragging a woman who looked like Tiffany into the woods. Though previously searched, the area was cleared for a thorough search with other law enforcement. Cadaver dogs didn't find remains, but detected potential evidence currently under processing. The Sessions family and investigators believe Rolls is responsible for Tiffany's disappearance, considering him the prime suspect in the case. While there's no DNA match, his documentation of other victims and references to Tiffany are seen as crucial evidence. Michael Christopher Knickerbocker was initially considered a suspect in Tiffany's case. A repeat sex offender, he had been convicted of numerous sex offenses and other crimes, including the 1989 rape of a 20-year-old Gainesville college student and the first-degree murder of a 12-year-old girl from Stork, Florida. According to a jailhouse informant, Knickerbocker told other inmates that he chained Tiffany to a tree near Gainesville before murdering her and disposing of her remains in the Caloosahatchee River near Fort Myers, Florida, on the night she went missing. A search was conducted in the area, but nothing of value was found. The informant also provided a letter written by Knickerbocker, but many involved in the case believe it was an empty boast. Knickerbocker later claimed his confession was a cruel joke. Knickerbocker also allegedly commented on the sweatshirt Tiffany was wearing the night she went missing, saying he buried it outside of Gainesville. In August 2002, investigators searched the location and found a piece of blood-soaked material, which did not appear to be from the sweatshirt. DNA testing was conducted, but the results have not been made public. At one point during the investigation, Knickerbocker was considered a strong enough suspect that both Patrick and Hillary signed letters giving Alachua County prosecutors permission to waive the death penalty if Knickerbocker led them to Tiffany's remains. However, many have noted that Knickerbocker was living near his 12-year-old murder victim at the time of her murder, whereas he wasn't living in Gainesville at the time of Tiffany's disappearance. No one has been arrested for Tiffany's disappearance. Police believe she was murdered since she hasn't been seen since. The FBI says it's Florida's biggest search ever, with thousands of tips and hundreds involved. They admitted that if alive, she would be 52 years old. There is a recorded video of Tiffany's father in which he was appealing to the public if anyone has any information about his daughter, please inform the police so that Tiffany can be brought back.
This is my daughter Tiffany, who was abducted on February 9th, 1989 from the University of Florida. She had gone for a walk at 6 o'clock at night by herself, and when she didn't return, a few hours later, all the authorities were notified and the search began. Unfortunately, as of this date, we still don't know what happened to her. Tiffany was 19 at the time. She was about 5'3", 120 pounds, a pretty blonde co-ed, as you can see in the picture, and she was wearing a sweatshirt with the word Aspen on it and jogging shoes. She also had a silver and gold Rolex watch with her that has never been recovered as well. Anybody that has any information or remembers anything about this from the time that it happened, again, that was 1989, please contact the authorities with the links that are provided on this site.
Kristen Deborah Modafferi was born on June 1, 1979, in Danbury, Connecticut. She is an American woman who, at the age of 18, in the early summer of 1997, disappeared under mysterious circumstances when she was coming back from her work at the Crocker Galleria Mall in San Francisco, California. She was raised in Charlotte, North Carolina, and was very fond of photography. There is rare short video footage in which she was giving a presentation during her high school period.
Spur-of-the-moment sex is portrayed as fun and natural, while the possible consequence of unplanned pregnancy is rarely addressed. Contraceptive use is even more rarely addressed on network television. Paid messages advocating the intelligent use of birth control are banned, and public service announcements tend to be broadcast only late at night, when few people are watching. A publication of the National Academy of Sciences states that the media provides young people with lots of clues about how to be sexy, but little information about how to be sexually responsible.
Kristen, a year younger than many of her peers, finished her first year at NC State and decided to spend her summer in San Francisco, a city her family had once visited in 1994. At first, no one in her family agreed with her, like her sister Davy, but later, her father Bob convinced them that his daughter would gain a lot of experience by going out. Kristen got excited and started to make plans for the summer of her life. She set up her summer program, researched classes, signed up, and even found a job there by herself. She traveled by herself to the San Francisco Bay Area to spend the summer studying photography at the University of California, Berkeley. She also found a room in a house on Jane Avenue in Oakland and found roommates there. She got a part-time job at the San Francisco Museum of Modern Art and worked full-time at Spinelli's coffee shop in the Crocker Galleria Mall in San Francisco's financial district. Several days later, following a voicemail left by Modafferi's father on the house's landline, one of her roommates called him back to report that she had not been seen for 3 days. Her parents became very restless, and on June 27th, they set out for San Francisco. Her parents reached there and met all her friends and checked all her lodgings, but failed to find their daughter. Finally, they had to report their daughter missing to the Oakland Police Department. The investigator quickly began interviewing Kristen's roommates and colleagues even before the Oakland police started their investigation. This proactive effort highlighted the investigators' determination to find any information that might reveal Kristen's location. Bob, Debbie, Lauren, Allison, and Megan posted flyers around the city and distributed them to the public. Initially, authorities considered Kristen a runaway, but the situation was later officially classified as a missing person case. It was found that one night after she got there, she went to a live music festival show. After finishing the music show, she felt that she had missed her last train. She then booked a cab with a young man she had just met and stayed with him all night at his apartment. The man was later tracked down and cleared by police as a suspect in her disappearance. On June 23, 1997, 3 weeks after her 18th birthday, Kristen got up early and left her Oakland apartment to catch the train into the city. After completing her shift at approximately 3 p.m., she told her co-workers that she might visit Baker Beach that afternoon to possibly go to a party. Her employees felt very strange hearing this, as she had been there for a party a day or two before. The next morning, on June 24th, she did not attend her photography class. Roughly 45 minutes after her shift, Modafferi was spotted by Spinelli's co-workers with an unidentified blonde woman on the Galleria's second floor. Yet, the woman remains unidentified. Modafferi's roommates observed that she did not come home on the night of June 23rd, and they did not report her missing. Using police bloodhounds, Kristen's scent was tracked from a bus stop next to the Galleria to a Muni 38 Geary bus. The dogs followed her scent to the end of the bus route at Sutro Heights Park. However, her scent eventually faded there, marking the limit of the bloodhound's tracking ability. The bus's route went to Land's End, suggesting that might have been her intended destination. For Kristen's family, the situation was extremely distressing and confusing, with every detail seeming puzzling and leaving them deeply concerned and seeking answers. During the search of Kristen's room, a notable discovery was made: a copy of the San Francisco Bay Guardian with a personal ad circled. This finding sparked interest as it suggested a possible lead. The ad was for females seeking friends to enjoy activities like music, photography, working out, walks, coffee, or beach outings in the Bay Area. However, when investigators examined the magazine, they faced a significant challenge. The ad department of the Bay Guardian had already deleted its records, making it impossible to determine if Kristen had placed the ad herself or was planning to respond to it. On July 10th, a little over a month after Kristen disappeared, an assignment editor at KGO-TV received a phone call. The caller claimed to know what happened to Kristen. The caller said that he knew the identities of two women who abducted and murdered Modafferi and placed her body remains under a bridge in the Point Reyes area of Marin County, California. The KGO employee informed the police, who investigated this case. Detectives found the two women mentioned by the caller, but they didn't know Kristen and weren't involved in her disappearance. The police asked if they knew anyone who might have a grudge against them and falsely implicated them in the case. Both women named the same person, a man named Ryan. Ryan told the police that the two women were his girlfriend's employees and had been harassing her at work. He admitted to making the false tip to get back at them. However, the police suspected there was more to his story. When they investigated, they found out Ryan had been accused of abusing women in the past. Several women came forward accusing Ryan of various crimes, including sexual assault and kidnapping. An ex-girlfriend claimed he tore pages out of her diary from around the time Kristen disappeared. Although it seemed like a strange coincidence, many believed he had something to do with Kristen's disappearance and was trying to hide evidence. One of his girlfriends said he threatened her, saying the same thing that happened to Kristen would happen to her. She fled but told the police she believed he was serious and responsible for Kristen's disappearance. Ryan took a polygraph test and passed, but the police never had enough evidence to charge him. "I've never met Kristen, and I never saw her. There's no connection between us," Ryan said. He added that he regrets making the anonymous phone call and admitted it was wrong. Over the next several months, investigators were still unable to find any clues or evidence about what happened to Kristen. In 2015, private investigator Paul Dostai, hired by the Modafferi family, started looking into Kristen's case. He brought his 11-year-old cadaver dog to the home on Jane Avenue in Oakland, California, where Kristen had been living when she disappeared. Cadaver dogs are specially trained to detect the scent of human decomposition. In the basement of the home, the dog alerted. Soil samples were collected, but unfortunately, no other evidence of a body or Kristen was found. Fast forward to February 2017, Dostai returned to Kristen's former home, but this time he wasn't alone. He was joined by Dr. Arpad Vass, a forensic anthropologist who specializes in human decomposition. Dr. Vass identified an area of interest between Kristen's former home and the house next door, right at the base of a set of stairs outside. He collected DNA evidence, which was likely human blood, and it was determined to be a match for Kristen. This was done using technology designed by Dr. Vass, who was still awaiting patent review at the time. But here's the frustrating part: it's been 4 years since then, and there's still no update regarding this DNA evidence. In 2000, President Bill Clinton signed Kristen's Act into law. This act was established to provide more resources for missing persons cases of those over the age of 17 and allotted $1 million per year towards those resources. However, the federal funding for Kristen's law stopped when it expired in 2005. In December 2000, the Kristen Foundation was established as a non-profit organization to provide funding and resources for missing persons cases like Kristen's. This foundation continues to support families in their search for loved ones. At the time of her disappearance, Kristen Deborah Modafferi was 18 years old. She was 5 feet 8 inches tall, weighed approximately 140 pounds, and had dark brown hair and brown eyes. Kristen was known for her distinctive dimples when she smiled. On June 23, 1997, Kristen was last seen leaving the Crocker Galleria just after 3:45 p.m. She was wearing a black Spinelli Coffee Company t-shirt, tan pants, a blue plaid flannel shirt, and what are believed to be Fly London sneakers. She was carrying a green JanSport backpack containing 2 library books and her camera. Despite extensive investigations, no arrests have ever been made, and no charges have been brought in the disappearance of Kristen Modafferi. Sadly, Kristen's father, Bob, passed away in 2022 without knowing what happened to his daughter. Her mother, Debbie, said that she asked Bob to give hugs to Kristen in heaven, hoping they would be together. Kristen's disappearance remains a mystery. There's a $50,000 reward for information about her case. If you know anything, please contact the Oakland Police Department at 510-238-3641. Alexis Camry Scott was born on May 20, 1997. In 2017, when she was 20 years old, she left Peoria, Illinois with 2 guys and a girl, planning to find work as a dancer in Las Vegas. Sadly, she got mixed up with a bad group in Vegas who forced her into a terrible situation. She managed to escape and was found in Sacramento, California, frightened and confused. Her mom named April helped her get back home to Peoria, but she was scared the people who hurt her would come after her. After being home for just 3 weeks, on Friday, September 22, 2017, Alexis went to a party and never returned home. The next morning, when April woke up, she noticed that Alexis wasn't at home. She searched everywhere, and despite many efforts to search her, she couldn't find her. She was afraid of where she went. Alexis had a 2-year-old son named Tevin. April asked Alexis's son, did she leave last night? Do you know where she is? What's going on? And he said that they had been hanging out that night. And then at around some time between 11 and midnight, she headed out, got into a car, and left, and he hadn't heard from her. April decided to call Alexis, but she didn't answer her phone. She thought that she would reach home on Sunday, but when she did not reach home on Sunday, she became very worried. Then April messaged her on Facebook, but her phone was not activated. Finally, Alexis decided to call the Peoria Police Department to report her daughter missing. The police quickly started looking into where Alexis was last seen. She was known to be now to kind of describe the location. It's off of what appears to be a main road. There's like a Burger King, there's a car wash, there's all sorts of businesses up and down, and then the houses are almost directly off of that. They searched for any sign of Alexis, any of her clothes that she was wearing, the phone that she maybe had that night. October 1st, 2017, they also showed up at the home and the 100 block of Richmond Avenue to speak to the residents about the party. Peoria Police Department detectives went to the neighborhood where the party was held and went door to door asking if anyone had any information on Alexis. Unfortunately, nobody said they did. They also searched vacant houses in the area to see if they could find any physical evidence leading to Alexis's whereabouts. Again, they found nothing. The host told authorities that they didn't really know Alexis very well, but she had been at the party that night. They said there were about 12 or so other people there. And they even said that it wasn't even a party. It was just a few people hanging out, and authorities were able to get a list of all the individuals who had been there and were able to question everyone, thinking they would get some sort of clear direction on where Alexis went, who she may have left with, but unfortunately ended up 2 months after she disappeared, a search warrant was executed on the home where the party took place. It's unclear what evidence was found at the home, but there was still no sign of Alexis. However, people who lived there did some strange things after Alexis disappeared. They took items from the house to a burn pile, they raided a bedroom of a potential suspect, and they got rid of their washer and dryer. Her family later found out that the owner of the home where the party was knows the man who had trafficked her, and it's believed she was kidnapped and put back into the lifestyle. However, people close to the case have said that most of the physical and circumstantial evidence suggests she was murdered on the day she went missing. Alexis's 2-year-old son, Tevin, lives with April and was under her care when Alexis disappeared. He sees the flyers all the time. April just told him she was away and she'd come back soon. I'm just trying to be a good mom for her and a good grandma for him. Regardless, her family is keeping up hopes that Alexis is still alive. But as of April 2024, she hasn't been found, and this case remains unsolved. There is a short video of Alexis's son, recorded by Alexis's mother, April, in 2021. In the video, he is playing with toys.
What is that? It's a book bag for you.
Brandon Swanson was born on January 30, 1989, in Marshall, Minnesota, to his loving parents, Brian and Annette Swanson. He graduated from Marshall High School in 2007 and later pursued studies in wind turbines at Minnesota West Community and Technical College in Canby. Brandon was well known for his love of social gatherings. He enjoyed spending time with friends. On May 13, 2008, after his final class, he decided to stay in Canby to party with friends. Although he occasionally drank alcohol, he wasn't known to have issues with it. That evening, just before midnight, Brandon began his drive back home, which was approximately 48 kilometers away. Around 2 a.m., he phoned his parents to inform them that his car had skidded into a ditch and he was unable to drive it out. Despite the predicament, he reassured them that he was unhurt and asked them to come and pick him up. However, he didn't specify his exact location. In their attempt to find him, his parents left the house in their pickup truck and stayed on the phone with him while trying to locate him. Brandon attempted to guide them by flashing his car lights on and off. Unfortunately, neither could see the other. At one point, Brandon decided to walk towards lights he believed were near Lind, hoping to meet his father at a local bar's parking lot. At 2:30 a.m., 47 minutes into the call, Brandon suddenly exclaimed, "Oh, shit," and the line went dead. Despite further attempts to contact him, he was never heard from again. His worried parents filed a missing person report with the Lind police at around 6 a.m., prompting authorities to start a search operation for Brandon. An investigation into Brandon's cell phone records revealed that his calls had been made 25 miles away from Taunton, near Highway 68, rather than close to Lind. Upon searching the area, police found Brandon's car in a ditch along a gravel road near the Lincoln County line. The car was tilted in such a way that the wheels were off the ground. However, it wasn't severely damaged. No tracks were found around the car, making it impossible to determine which direction Brandon might have walked. When questioned about Brandon's drinking habits, his father mentioned that Brandon had been drinking while moving from one party to another that night. Nonetheless, His parents confirmed that he was speaking clearly during their conversation. The search efforts were extensive. Cell phone signals placed Brandon near Minneota, along Highway 68. The search included land teams and dogs and later expanded to the Yellow Medicine River after his father recalled hearing water and a fence during their last conversation. Boats were deployed, and the riverbanks were thoroughly searched using horses and ATVs, considering the possibility that he might have drowned. However, despite these efforts, no significant leads were found. 15 years have passed since Brandon's mysterious disappearance, yet his parents and loved ones continue to hope for his return. After the initial search turned up no clues about Brandon, most search efforts ceased. However, some people continued looking. Lincoln County Sheriff Jack Vasaki was one of them. He searched about 2 miles of the Yellow Medicine area every day for a month, hoping to find Brandon or signs of his return. Meanwhile, Brian and Annette, keeping hope alive, left their porch light on every night. Currently, Brandon's parents hold their memories of him close and remain hopeful for his return. Unfortunately, the case of Brandon Swanson remains unsolved. Keisha Jacobs was born on January 1, 1995. From the Westover neighborhood of Richmond, Virginia, she lived with her mother, Tony, and her older brother, Devon. Tony held various customer service jobs to support her family, earning enough to maintain a stable and comfortable living situation. She ensured there was room for fun too, often taking Devon and Keisha to their favorite amusement park, King's Dominion, in Doswell, Virginia. Tony also valued family connections, so she frequently visited relatives on the coast with her children. Despite their age difference, Keisha and Devon were very close. Everyone was surprised by how well they got along, as their bond was stronger than most brother and sister relationships. In elementary and middle school, Keisha was a cheerleader, and her mom was the coach. She made close friends through cheerleading and school and was very loyal to them, sometimes too much. Even though she was tough, Keisha had a sensitive side and always made sure her friends were happy. Eventually, after graduating from high school, Keisha decided to stay in Richmond with her family until she figured out her plans. Over the next few years, she worked various jobs to gain experience and find her path. Tony admired how well her daughter managed her money, showing more responsibility than most 21-year-olds. Even though Keisha was popular, she didn't enjoy partying or staying out late. She would join in occasionally if invited, but she preferred other ways of socializing. The future looked bright, but no one knew the terrible events that awaited Keisha, Devon, and Tony. The family was so happy that it was hard to believe that everything would fall apart in a few years. On the evening of September 26, 2016, Keisha sent a text to her mother, informing her that she would be staying overnight with a friend and would reach out the next morning. Since Keisha was 21 years old, her mother, Tony, chose not to inquire further about who the friend was, respecting her daughter's privacy. However, on September 27th, while working as a dispatcher, Tony was expecting a call from her daughter to confirm she had returned home safely. Typically, Keisha would call during Tony's lunch break between 11 a.m. and 12 p.m. However, this time, no call came. Concerned, Tony tried calling Keisha's cell phone, but it went straight to voicemail. She then called Devon, who mentioned that he had last spoken to his sister the previous night. When Tony got home that evening, she realized Keisha was still missing. Worried, she contacted Keisha's friends and visited their homes, but there was no sign of her. At around 2 a.m. on September 28th, after discussing it with her sister, Tony called the Richmond Police Department to report Keisha missing, explaining that it was unlike her daughter to disappear without informing anyone. The search for Keisha began with her friends and Tony going door to door in the neighborhood, asking if anyone had seen her. During this search, Tony learned that her daughter's friends had been with Keisha the night she vanished, despite earlier denials. When questioned, they admitted to dropping her off in Church Hill, about 10 minutes from her home, to meet someone, though they didn't know who it was. A specific friend revealed that he had driven Keisha to an unknown man's house, believing she would meet a mutual female friend there. He later claimed this was confirmed by a text from that friend. After speaking with him, Tony went to the man's house. A man at the house, who introduced himself as Otis, gave several accounts of the night of September 26th, admitting he knew Keisha and saw her that night, but claimed she left shortly after arriving. Tony then called the police, who searched the house but found no signs of Keisha. During her investigation, Tony discovered a woman who claimed that Otis had beaten her, held her captive and forced her into sexual acts. Tony fears her daughter might have faced a similar situation and suspects she could be a victim of sex trafficking. However, after finding Keisha's last known location, investigators searched the Church Hill area multiple times. They canvassed the neighborhood and handed out flyers. Keisha's phone records showed her phone had been off since the night she went missing. Her bank account was untouched, and her email and Facebook were inactive. Investigators have not found her phone, ID, or the overnight bag she had with her. To encourage new leads, her family and friends raised $3,000 for a reward leading to an arrest and conviction. There have been many reported sightings of Keisha, but none have been verified. Investigators do not believe she ran away or moved to another state. Over the years, Richmond police have been mostly silent, except for a 2017 announcement stating they believed Keisha was a victim of foul play. However, a few months after Keisha disappeared, Tony's only other child, her son Devon, was fatally shot at a Motel 6 in Richmond during a struggle. His killer was convicted and is serving time behind bars. Tony said, "I haven't fully mourned my son's death because I'm still fighting for Keisha," she said. "Knowing she's still out there keeps me going. As a mother, I have to fight for my daughter because no one else will fight for her like I do." However, the man suspected in Keisha Jacobs' 2016 disappearance in Richmond has pleaded guilty to second-degree murder in a Florida woman's death. Otis Tucker, 35, was facing the death penalty for the November 2022 murder of Ashley Fowler, a mother of 3 from Jacksonville. Tucker's plea deal included a conviction for tampering with evidence and could send him to prison for the rest of his life. The Richmond woman was 21 years old when she was last seen at a home in Church Hill where Tucker lived in September 2016. Investigators said they collected evidence of foul play from that home and questioned Tucker about Jacobs, but never charged in connection to her disappearance. Tony credits the Richmond Police Department and the local community for supporting her through Keisha's disappearance and Devon's murder. She often visits Maury Street Cemetery, where her son is buried. On the anniversary of Keisha's disappearance, her family releases blue balloons in her memory. They have also held rallies, including one near the house where she was last seen. Since her daughter's disappearance, Tony has become an advocate for families with missing loved ones. She has partnered with the Richmond Police Department and Mayor LeVar Stoney to observe Missing Persons Day every April. Keisha Jacobs went missing from the 3100 block of East Broad Street in Richmond, Virginia on September 26, 2016. She was 21 years old, last seen wearing pink and black Nike basketball sneakers, a pink headscarf, and black basketball shorts. She might also have been wearing a silver Pandora bracelet with a Vegas charm. At the time, she was between 5'0" and 5'3" tall and weighed around 100 to 110 pounds. She has brown hair and brown eyes. Her tattoos include a rose on her shoulder, paw prints on her right thigh, a flower on her right wrist, Tony beneath a heart on her left shoulder, and a leaf on her right foot. Her ears were pierced, and her fingernails were painted blue. Toni Jacobs has worked tirelessly to keep her daughter's memory alive and to ensure that her story is not forgotten. However, anyone with information about Keisha's disappearance is urged to call the Richmond Police Department's Major Crimes Unit at 804-646-0729.